You know that friend who's always maybe next time? The one who says yes to plans, then finds 17 reasons to stay home instead? Rain. Headache. Just not feeling it. Yeah, that friend isn't flaky. They're protecting their peace. And today, we're breaking down the psychology of people who genuinely prefer their couch to the club, their living room to literally anywhere else. Here's the thing. Your brain has an energy budget, and different people spend it differently. Extroverts are like solar panels. They absorb energy from other people, from noise, from movement. Every conversation tops up their tank. But introverts and highly sensitive people, they're running on a battery that drains with every interaction, every unexpected sound, every "hey, have you been?" And home is the only place that actually recharges them. Psychologists call this the arousal regulation model. Your nervous system has a sweet spot, an optimal level of stimulation where you feel most alive. Some people need concerts and crowds to hit that spot. Others need silence and solitude. It's not about being antisocial. It's about how your brain is literally wired to process the world. Research by psychologist Hans Eysenck found that introverts have naturally higher baseline cortical arousal, meaning their brains are already buzzing with activity. Add external stimulation, and they hit overload fast. Extroverts start at a lower baseline, so they need that external buzz just to feel normal. But there's more going on than just energy management. Some people love staying home because their space gives them something the outside world never can: complete control. Out there, you're at the mercy of chaos. Loud talkers, plans that change, small talk with strangers who ask how you are but walk away before you answer. Sensory overload from fluorescent lights and competing conversations. Someone wearing cologne so strong it becomes a personality trait. At home, you control the temperature, the lighting, the noise level, who you see, when you see them. You control everything. The thermostat stays exactly where you want it. No one's playing music you hate. No one's touching your stuff or sitting in your spot or asking why you're so quiet today. For people with anxiety, ADHD, or sensory processing sensitivity, that level of control isn't about being picky or high maintenance. It's about nervous system regulation. It's about creating an environment where their brain can finally stop scanning for threats, stop processing 17 conversations at once, and just exist. For them, leaving home isn't an adventure. It's a calculated risk assessment. Here's something wild. Research shows that people who enjoy solitude score higher on creativity tests, demonstrate deeper self-awareness, and excel at complex problem solving. Staying home isn't wasting time. It's where breakthrough thinking happens. Not in a networking event, but in a quiet afternoon where your mind can actually wander without interruption. Studies from psychologists like Reed Larson found that adolescents who spent time alone showed more positive moods later and developed stronger identity formation. They weren't lonely. They were building a relationship with themselves. And that pattern continues into adulthood. Research published in the British Journal of Psychology found that people who spend more time alone report higher levels of creative output and deeper philosophical thinking. Solitude isn't loneliness. It's the space where you actually get to know yourself, where you process experiences instead of just collecting them, where you think your own thoughts instead of borrowing everyone else's. The greatest books weren't written at parties. The most profound scientific discoveries didn't happen in crowded rooms. They happened in quiet spaces where brilliant minds had room to explore. Let's destroy some myths real quick. Myth 1. People who stay home are antisocial. Wrong. They're selectively social. They'd rather have one deep conversation than 10 shallow ones. They're not avoiding people. They're avoiding performances. Myth 2. They're missing out on life. Also wrong. They're just living a different version of it. One where experiences are measured by internal richness, not external validation. Myth 3. They're all introverts. Nope, some extroverts love staying home too. They've just realized that quality matters more than quantity. They've experienced enough social exhaustion to know that sometimes the best night is the one where you don't have to be on for anyone. And here's the big one. Myth 4. Staying home means you're afraid. Sometimes? Sure. But usually, it means you've done the math and realized that most social obligations offer diminishing returns. And let's be honest, our culture has a serious bias. We worship the yes people, the adventurers, the ones with packed calendars and Instagram stories that never stop, the people who treat their lives like a competitive sport where the winner has the most stamps in their passport and the most stories that start with This one time in exotic location, society treats staying home like it's something you do when you've given up, like if you're not constantly out there, networking, exploring, saying yes to every invitation. You're somehow failing at being human. We've romanticized exhaustion and called it ambition. We've turned FOMO into a lifestyle and wondered why everyone's anxious. But what if your version of living fully is a homemade meal, a book that changes how you see the world, and absolutely zero small talk? What if you're not missing out, but opting out of things that never served you in the first place? What if the real adventure is internal, not external? That's not sad. That's knowing yourself well enough to stop performing for people who don't actually care. That's understanding that your life doesn't need to look impressive to be meaningful. Now, some people stay home for a darker reason: agoraphobia, social anxiety that makes leaving feel like walking into a wall, depression that whispers, "What's the point?" so convincingly you start to believe it, trauma that turned the outside world into a minefield of triggers you can't predict or control. For them, home becomes both sanctuary and prison. The safe place slowly becomes the only place. What started as self-care calcifies into avoidance. They're not choosing to stay home. They're trapped there by fear disguised as preference. So, there's a question worth asking yourself, and you need to be brutally honest. Do you stay home because it genuinely fills you up, or because leaving feels unbearably heavy? Do you feel peaceful or stuck? Do you turn down invitations because you know you won't enjoy them, or because the thought of accepting makes your chest tight? Because one is self-care, the other is self-protection that's outlived its purpose. One expands your world, the other shrinks it. If you can't remember the last time you left your house without significant dread, if you're declining every invitation not because you don't want to go, but because you can't handle going, that's not preference. That's something else. And it deserves attention, not judgment. But for those who truly love staying home, who feel most like themselves within their own four walls, who leave occasionally and enjoy it but always feel that pull back to their space, they're not hiding from life. They're living it on their terms. They notice things most people rush past. The exact way afternoon light moves across the floor at 4:17 p.m. The ritual of grinding coffee beans in the morning silence. That smell that means today is starting on your terms. The comfort of knowing where everything is, of having routines that feel like coming home to yourself over and over again. They've created entire worlds in their spaces. The reading corner, where they've traveled to more places than most people visit physically. The kitchen, where they've perfected recipes that feel like edible memories. The desk, where ideas bloom in ways they never could in a coffee shop full of strangers performing productivity. Psychologists describe this as having a low stimulation preference or high environmental sensitivity. Dr. Elaine Arendt's research on highly sensitive persons found that about 20% of the population processes sensory information more deeply, noticing subtleties others miss, feeling things more intensely. These people don't need the world to entertain them because their inner world is rich, complex, and endlessly fascinating. They're not boring. They're deep. They'd rather have one meaningful thought than a dozen shallow experiences. They'd rather feel something real in solitude than pretend to feel something in a crowd. They've mastered something most people never learn: how to be alone without being lonely, how to find joy in stillness, how to build a life that doesn't require constant external validation to feel worthwhile. That's not avoidance. That's wisdom. So, if you're someone who turns down invitations without guilt, who feels genuinely excited about a Friday night with absolutely no plans, who'd rather rewatch your comfort show for the 18th time than go make memories that'll stress you out and require 3 days of recovery, listen up. You're not broken. You're not missing a social gene that everyone else got. You're not damaged or boring or wasting your life. You just built for depth over breadth, for quality over quantity, for peace over performance. You figured out something most people spend their whole lives searching for: what actually makes you happy. Not what's supposed to make you happy according to social media or your extroverted friend who thinks silence is a problem that needs solving. Your brain is playing a different game, and that's not just okay, it's necessary. The world needs people like you. The thinkers, the observers, the ones who process instead of just consume, the ones who know that sometimes the most radical thing you can do is absolutely nothing. Now I want to hear from you. Are you team staying home? Or do you think we're all just making excuses to avoid growth? Do you feel seen or called out? Drop a comment and let's actually talk about this. And if you want to understand the psychology behind why some people need constant chaos to feel alive, why your extroverted friend literally cannot sit still and thinks your quiet weekend sounds like torture, that video's next. Click it. You'll finally understand each other. Maybe.